Hi. Okay, I'm a little bit confused about the technology of all this, so I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused. But hi, VidCon, I'm so excited. I am so excited to talk about me a little bit today, which I actually hate, but we're going to do it. And to do it with me, I have my father, Michael Chamberlain, also known as Chamberlain Paintings, also known by my friends and I as CP for short, Chamberlain Paintings. Hi, Dad. What's going on?
Not much. How you doing? Good to see you, kid.
I know. We haven't. My dad and I haven't really seen each other a lot because of what's going on. But it's
That's
nice to see your
true. Like,
face
yeah, exactly. It's been, I mean, we talk every day pretty much, but it's been probably a couple months at least.
for sure,
Yeah.
which blows. But I'll give you guys a little rundown as you know what's going to go on. So basically, um, my dad and I are kind of going to be interviewing each other in a sense. So I'm going to ask him some questions. He's going to ask me some questions, and then you guys asked some questions as well. So we'll answer those, and it's gonna be a great time. So
Hey, Em, why don't you start off with give me a brief summary of your YouTube journey, right? You want to start off with that?
great. I would love to. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
So I mean, I'm guessing what? Are you good? Okay. I'm guessing if you're here, you might already possibly be familiar. So I will be brief, but basically I was 16 when I started my YouTube channel. I had started a few prior to that were failures, like maybe made one or two videos on each channel prior. But I started my channel when I was 16 after I failed my driver's test, and I was really sad about it. Started my channel, and then just kept uploading almost weekly ever since. And that's that. And it's been a crazy journey. Yeah.
That is the short. That is the condensed
That
version.
is the condensed version.
All right. So now, hey, how do you want it? So do you want to like switch off and then ask me a question now too?
Oh yeah, fun. Okay, so we can go back and forth.
Oh my God, this is going to be great.
This is
All
gonna
right. So,
be okay. So I guess to preface by before I ask my father questions, I'll give him a little introduction. He's an artist. He paints. He also has done a lot of other stuff. So I'll actually ask you about that. What's your full creative background?
well, so right now, as you know, I'm a professional oil painter. And so that's what I do to make a living. I also do YouTube as well. But as far as my background as a creative background, I think I was always like a creative kid, not so much like with art. I was more interested in music, and then I started playing music, and then through my teens was in bands, and then also in my 20s as well. But I would say that I was always sort of a creative kid, and I used to just like making random things. Emma, do you remember like when we went to the beach in Pacifica and we like took driftwood and we like made a village out of it? Do you remember
Yes.
that? That
Yes.
was like the kind of stuff that I started off with, just like random. I just used to like to make things. And so that's kind of it. But yeah, like I said, then in my teens and 20s, really focused on like writing music and playing in bands. And then when you were little, like when you were 2 years old, I think I started painting. And about 10 years ago, quit my job doing like sort of construction stuff. And I've been painting full time ever since.
King. King
Yeah.
stuff. Love it. Um, great. Okay.
Oh, so you want me to add? Let's see.
We're doing the back and forth thing. That was your idea. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
okay, it's cool. All right, so let's do that. All right, so you got that. All right, what are your memories growing up with this? What are your memories growing up with a creative dad or in a creative household, and how do you think that affected you as a kid?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like like that question is you basically calling yourself creative, which like
I
is kind
know.
of uncomfortable. You didn't write that. No, you didn't write that question, so it's okay.
No, I know.
I
Well, I would say like I would say, how was it to like grow up with creativity in the household? Like as
yes,
me as a painter, did that affect you in any kind of way? Like, yeah. So
yeah.
you go for it.
Yes, I definitely think it did. I mean, I it was kind of interesting because I think it made me more eager to try to find something creative to do myself, which I don't know if I would have had that drive otherwise. I think seeing you do so many different creative things and always having like instruments around, or singing and painting and doing all these different things, it
Right.
was like more, I wanted to find something like that I had a passion for, that was similar to you, because it was so like, it was inspiring for sure. And I mean, we had our trials and errors. Like, I know my dad wanted to teach me how to play guitar at one point. Like, I just was evil about it because he would try to teach me and I'd be like, I would get so angry because I couldn't get it. And then I'd get mad at him. And then, so guitar wasn't my thing. We tried to sing together. That was kind of fun. We'll never sing again in public,
That's
but
so sad. Like, I don't know. I mean,
no, we're not talking about singing. We
she's a
are
good
not.
singer. Yeah, she sings
No,
great. Got a great voice.
no, no,
Anyway,
no, 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 none of
I
that.
understand. Like, I understand that though. Like, I understand that, you have to form your own sort of identity, and you don't want to, right.
Well, yeah, but it was like fun to have, you as somebody who has so many different little interests, that like you've so much knowledge with so many different creative things, that you were a great resource for me growing up when I was like, oh, I kind of want to try this. Or like, when you put a drum set in my room, then that means I naturally was like, oh, it's time for me to play drums now. Lots of fun.
But though, another thing like that I think was really fun that I remember, like when you were really little, like one of the funnest things was, I don't know if you remember, like the toys that I'd want, like I like to play with you, but I didn't want, there were certain toys that really were actually fun for me. And it was like blocks. We used to play with those big blocks and create buildings and stuff. And remember, we'd try to see how tall we could get it before it would fall over. Or we'd using those big Legos and stuff. I tended to like toys or the Magnadoodle where you could sketch and we like draw objects in the room and try to guess what, like I would draw and say, okay, what is this? And you'd have
I remember
to
all of this.
Yeah. And see, so to me, like those kind of things were a way to have fun and actually interact in a kind of fun way. And it was always super fun for me to see what you would come up with, So yeah, so I think part of it was, sometimes there's things that kids can play with where you can't really interact, but those were ones where I felt like we had a lot of fun, playing together,
Agreed. And on that note, was it a priority for you to raise a kid that was, in a sense, like creative? Like, was that something that was like, while raising a kid, where you're like, I need to make sure that this kid has, access to these things and, whatever.
To be totally honest with you, I didn't have any expectations really. Like my feeling was always just to sort of support you in whatever, becoming whoever you were as a person. So no, I didn't, like, that's why I didn't ever push singing. Like, I didn't ever push those things like guitar and singing. It was there, it was available to you if you wanted it. But I always felt like I felt like it was important to me to just support you in figuring out who you were and what you love to do. But no, I didn't. So I didn't have an expectation on that. And I couldn't have predicted, I think just by allowing you to find your own way, like I would never have predicted that, it would go the way it has. But yeah, it was just, yeah, like I said, just supporting you to figure out who you were and what worked for you.
Show. Okay, it's your turn. It's your turn.
Oh, my turn? Okay, here. What are some creative things that interested you before YouTube?
Well, God, I mean, well, I know you probably are going to remember this, and I've talked about this actually on my podcast, so this is not news to everyone. But my grandma used to give me these outfits, as you know, give me those outfits that were like super, kind of almost in a way like pageant-esque. Like they were very like, they were so glamorous for a literal like 4-year-old. I just don't even understand like where my grandma got. I mean, we don't need the story, but like, you know what I'm saying? The whole,
they would gave you like matching top and skirt that would be like leopard with like faux fur for the collars, or even like a fake like leather jacket and matching skirt.
I don't know. I mean, honestly,
But
if I would wear it now, usually most of those things, but actually some of them no, but some of them yes. But that was definitely like a little intro to me caring about fashion. And then I also, I was obsessed with clay. Do you remember?
oh,
Like
what is that stuff
claymation,
called? Like Sculpey?
it's like sculpting clay. Like I would make things
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
clay and I'd make claymation videos with my iPad. My iPad was my pride and joy. I literally owe my life to my iPad. So I did a lot of clay stuff. I mean, I tried to paint a little bit here and there, but I would get really frustrated with that. Most instruments I got really frustrated with, except for drums, which I kind of want a drum set. We'll see. Probably won't happen. And then what else? Oh, I used to make videos with my cousin, Casey. We used to make videos on my iPad as well, whatever. And we'd make like little iMovie videos and then show them to our whole family, and our whole family, yeah, as you probably remember, was probably not really that impressed. To be honest. They were
Well,
probably
you
really
do.
bad.
I remember you used to do like, remember there was like the templates for like movie
They were
trailers.
the trailers, the
Yeah,
iMovie.
that was the one. But
God,
then I do remember though, like you did always have fascination with video because I remember you started making what I was calling, and maybe you called them like vibe videos. They'd be like, but that was a little later, the vibe videos where it'd be like a lot of slow-mo and
my oh well, yeah. So I used to. Well, God, this makes me really cringe now, and the fact that we. Oh, that makes me cringe. But I would, yeah, I'd literally take GoPro clips and then slow motion them, and then put some sort of like, some sort of like kind of techno-y song in the background that wasn't like fully techno-y song, but it was definitely cringy. Sometimes good
I
stuff.
would still, I remember it's funny because like I remember showing those to some friend, like I was at a dinner with some friends. We're like, yeah, my daughter's like making videos, like, check it out. This is so cool. And it was like when we were in Maine and you were actually, the Cape Cod Maine trip, you brought a GoPro. And so there was some sort of cool underwater stuff. But
It was cool, but it was not.
well,
Do you know what I mean?
I remember saying, I was like, you should put you in it. Like there needs to be personality. Like you need to talk to the camera, and you're like, no, I don't think so, or whatever. At that
No,
time,
I'm just trying to capture vibes right now. I think I would ruin my own vibe.
yeah, right.
Well, I didn't do
I'm
that.
just trying to capture a chill vibe here. Like,
Yeah.
why are you coming up? I know. No, that was true. And then also the ones you did like with your friends at school and stuff. And I remember seeing those, and I was like, these are free. They're so hilarious. They're so
Well,
funny.
yeah, I should explain that. And then I'm
Yeah,
moving on because I have a question for you. But
sure.
literally everybody's probably like, my dad and I will talk about, we will just go off and on top. I mean, you should hear our phone calls. This is kind of like one, but like we're all over the place. Anyway, the videos I used to make with my friends and I used to make choreographed dances at lunch. Okay. And we had like 45 minutes for lunch. And by like the end of lunchtime, we would have an entire choreographed dance. And then we'd film it on my computer webcam. And then I'd edit it with like very similar editing kind of to what I do now. I mean, not really, but like, it was a similar energy. And it's weird because then when I first started my YouTube channel, I steered away from that type of editing. And then I ended up returning to it, which is interesting. But those were really fun. Anyway, I have a question for you, and
Okay.
you kind of already touched on it. What was your opinion on YouTube before I started making videos on it? Like, I'm talking about, what was your opinion on YouTube before I made the channel that I have now, if that makes sense?
Well, as you know, like we didn't have TV in the house. And so that was kind of like, so YouTube, I was watching YouTube all the way back, I'd say, and in posting like those little, I'd cover a song on acoustic guitar, sing a song or whatever. I was posting those in 2007. So like YouTube for me was interesting, but I don't think until, and I already had my art channel, but it was kind of sitting idle. And then when we talked about you doing a channel, or like doing a new channel, the one that you have now, I remember sort of brainstorming. I was like, well, show me some of the YouTubers that you like. And so it kind of, that got a conversation opened up where I started looking at some YouTube stuff that I wouldn't have normally seen. But it did kind of, and then I looked at stuff for me too, like how I wanted to do my art channel. And, I found people like Casey Neistat and whatever, and like vlogging style. And I thought, ooh, it'd be cool to do like painting vlog, whatever. So I think that the process of talking to you and also both of us working at the same time, I think it opened up like a different, I had a different, like, I was like, wow, there's some real possibilities here, you know? And at that time, like, you didn't know for sure what you were going to do with your channel. I remember, like, in the beginning, it was like, and my feeling was always just like be honest and keep posting. I remember saying that over and over again, you know, like keep going, because I know from my experience as a painter, like you have to be in the process in order to develop. And so like if you do 30 videos, you're going to learn so much in that process, and who knows where you'll be at that point. And I have to say, like, I didn't know, like I'd watch them. And I remember there was at one point I saw something and I was like, oh, damn. Like it just surprised me. You hit something that was so cool. And remember, I used to say, like, I remember Casey, her Emma's cousin, and I were sitting and we're watching some of her like videos from, you know, from like school or whatever. We were at a soccer game and it was on anyway. And we were watching that and we were like, oh my God, these are so funny. And I remember telling you, Em, I was like, if you make your YouTube channel like you're like that, you know,
Right.
like
the way that I am with my friends and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah, those friend videos. I was like, man, you're gonna kill it. It's so funny. But anyway, I remember you were like, no way.
Well,
but it didn't take long before that came out in your own videos.
Well, that's really true. That actually, I see the questions for me, and that leads to the exact, I don't know how we organized this so well. Guys, oh my God, we did so well. Like everything like correlates in the perfect order. I don't know.
All right, brief intro. That's you. You're super. That's another thing that people probably don't know. Like, I remember when we did the Tesla video, you called me and you're like, I need help filming a video, the Tesla video, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we went up to the parking lot and I was like, I had a bunch of ideas in my head and I was like, and you had a freaking punch list. You were so organized. Like you knew what you wanted to do and stuff. And I was like, oh my God.
Thanks.
Yeah. So anyway, so it doesn't surprise me because you sort of organized the questions and
but whatever. Oh, well, I'll read it.
Admire that about you. Okay, go on.
No, the question, I'll ask myself the question. Why not? Just switch it up.
Oh, well,
I got my favorite. Oh, wait, no. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, well, it is. What are your favorite memories from the very beginning of YouTube?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Oh my God, I just got spotlighted. Now I can see myself really large. This scared me. I didn't want to see this today. My favorite memories from the beginning of YouTube. Well, I think some of my favorite memories are the cringiest ones, really. I mean, my first probably 20 videos, that's a lot. Maybe my first like 10, 15 videos were just incredibly cringy. And I think you can probably remember that. God, they were just
right, let me ask you, what do you think was like the first video where you were like, oh yeah, okay, this is cool, I'm onto something, like where you kind of felt like you felt on track with?
I know exactly what it is. Because actually the reason why I know exactly what it is because I think a few months ago, maybe a month, 2 months ago, I reacted to all of my old videos or like a few of them. And one of them was this vlog where I went, it was like when fidget spinners just became a thing. And I was like, I want to go get one. And so I like vlogged myself trying to find one all over town. And it was a vlog, and it was the first time I had ever done a vlog. And it was also the first time I had ever like picked up a camera spontaneously. Well, it was my phone at the time, but picked up my phone, randomly started filming, like just because I got the idea in my head and I wanted to try a fidget spinner anyway. So it was like the first time it was an organic thing, and it wasn't like me sitting down, putting on makeup, setting up the whole thing and being like, so this is how you accessorize your outfits. Like, I mean, now I like to do that a little bit here and there, but it's like it's more honest. Back then it was like me just, I don't know what I was doing. But
so it was the fidget spinner. Where like, I know a lot of people say dollar store or whatever, but for me, the first one that I was like, oh, I thought was hilarious, and I was like, wow, this is great, was the Gucci shirt.
Oh, I don't know when that was. I don't know chronologically.
Was Gucci's shirt before the Maine trip where?
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I know the Gucci shirt, I think was before that, before
For
the
some
main show.
context for everybody, the Gucci shirt video was a video that I made where I made my own Gucci shirt. And it was like, I think that was like, there was a certain, like in the beginning, there were certain ideas that I had that just like, for me, I was like, oh, this is the direction I want to go for sure. And like, or like, this is what I like making, you know, because I knew I liked being in front of a camera and I knew that I liked the process of editing and all of that. But it was like, I had to, yeah, I had to find the videos that made me excited. And I remember the Gucci shirt one definitely made me excited. Vlogging when we were in Maine really made me excited. Um, you know, like I did like a car tour, the Tesla car tour, or whatever it was.
Right, right, right.
That was really fun. Whatever.
Well, I do remember the one thing I will say that people may not realize, like, because I didn't even realize, like, I saw your videos up to that point. It was on the main trip. I remember fondly, like, I just couldn't help it because, like, there was just, it was just so fun sitting with you and watching you edit those main videos. And then, like, what I realized was how good of, like, how you knew your way around iMovie, like, inside and out. And like, you know, I would get these ideas or whatever, like I'd say, oh, can you put like a sound effect like this there or that or whatever, that whole collab thing. And you were so fast at like being able to pull sounds off of the internet and dub it in and whatever. And I was like,
and get copyrighted. Woo! I didn't know that yet.
No, I was like, that's the thing that I was really, that was another moment where I was just kind of like, wow, like she's really good at editing, you know, and it was just super fun collabing on that stuff too. Like I still watch those videos, like, and they make me, you know, they make me so happy to see
I
that.
think they're so weird, but
like the one with the kid, like, oh my God, do you remember?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but without the context, it's gonna make no sense.
I know, but we were just, I was crying. I mean,
I think the moral of the story is we would make these videos and we'd edit them together. Not really even because we were thinking about what other people were gonna see, like
no, just
because it made us laugh. Like we thought it was funny.
Right. I was dying. It was just like, they were so funny.
I agree.
Think, you know, that's another thing that I think is really important. I think I'm so glad, you know, it's always important to me if I was going to be a dad that I would have time, like I'd be able to spend time being, you know, interacting with my child. And I think one of the payoffs is like, if you do spend that time, you develop a similar sense of humor.
Totally.
I mean? So like, yeah, it was just hysterical. Those videos were hysterical. But let me see. Should I look on the list and see if there's another question for you, or is it your turn?
Oh wait, no, I think it's my turn. Although now I'm like, you know, I think I kind of repeated the same questions, and because of the way that we are, we like answer 7 questions in one question. So let's see if any of these are interesting to me. Okay, I think this is a good one. When things with YouTube started to escalate, how did you as a parent support me mentally? Because obviously it was not easy, as you know. Like, how did you help me through the kind of, you know, whether it was creative block or it was haters or it was, you know, just learning things through the process? How did you support me?
Well, I mean, I think usually, you know, like we would have our brainstorming sessions, which a lot of time, I think that was a way to get through, like, say, creative block. And I would just like pitch out a lot of ideas and that sort of thing. As you remember, that was kind of something that I enjoyed as well. But it was always sort of to allow you to, and then also just letting you vent a lot of times. And by talking, you know, you would figure out what you needed to do or where you wanted to go with something. I always just didn't want to get in the way of that, although I wouldn't, because you have such a strong sort of sense of what you want to do. And our relationship is such that you have no problem, you know, telling me just flat out, no, I hate that. That sucks. No, I hate that, or whatever.
God, don't tell people that.
Well, no, that's okay. No, because it's good.
Kidding.
No, because I think it's effective and it's important in a creative relationship that, like, we know we're cool, so I don't worry about.
Yeah, there's honesty and there's
but it's also like cut to the chase and like, let's get through this and get to an answer, you know. And you're very much about that. You want to like, and so you know, so I would say mostly just by communicating, and letting you kind of, you know, just using me as a sounding board so you could figure it out for yourself, basically, I would say.
Right. I agree.
You
I
know?
totally agree.
And because also too, like there's things I remember. Here's a case in point. That's something that's very important. I always would allow you to go with something, even if I didn't get it. Like most of the things I'd be like, oh, that's a great idea. But there would be times where I'd feel like, I don't see it, but I'm going to trust, like, that's not my job. I'm going to trust and then you would do it. And I'd be like, oh, I get it. This is great. You know what I'm saying? So that's an important thing. Like I was never judgmental about, you know, about that sort of thing. I always wanted to support you to explore and experiment, because even if something doesn't work out, it's the wrong direction. That's a learning experience, right?
Totally.
So that was kind of how I approach it, I would say.
Yeah, and you did a great job. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Okay, well, it's definitely time for me to ask a question. Do you want to do like about moving to LA yet? Or are we at that point?
God, I don't know. You tell me. What do you think is interesting?
Well,
I find myself to be quite boring, so I don't know. You can
not at
choose.
all. Well, was there something else I was going to say about that? I guess not, but I'm sure we'll be going back and forth. But why don't we talk about that? So were you nervous? Actually, yeah. I should say this. Were you nervous to move to LA by yourself at 17? And I have to like preface this with a little bit of, you know, backstory. The original idea was that either your mom or I would be spending time with you off and on, you know, so that you weren't down there by yourself. Just so that the audience knows. Yes,
but then I vetoed like,
oh yeah, bye, kid. Have fun in LA at 17.
No, I vetoed that idea. I was like, I want to be by myself, right, and I want to like learn and go through this experience. And so I wasn't really that. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know sometimes my memory is like not the best compared to yours, because you can remember like where you were on June 3rd, 1985, you know exactly where you were, which doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. And I mean, I don't feel like I was that nervous. I do feel like I was ready to move out. I mean, I had a very...
Actually, let me ask you a question though. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I remember when you called me about it and you were already sort of defensive. You're like, because you'd had the conversation with your mom, and like, this might be a good place to shout out your mom real quick. Like, Emma's mom is awesome. Yeah, she's like, there's things I do creatively, but her mom is awesome. She does like all the administrative stuff. Like if it's like about finding places to live or any kind of like paperwork, I'm not good at that. But
well, I'll put it into simple terms. From, you know, I think my support system with my parents has been really special, because with my mom is the technical side of things, and my dad is more the creative side of things. And I mean, it's very much like that. My mom is like the momager, and my dad is like the you know, he's the CP, whatever. So that's what we call him. And so yeah, no, my mom is amazing, and she's been really helpful with all of this. But I agree. I had talked to, well, you just didn't mind. Seemed like you were probably more easy to persuade.
I remember when you called me, you're like, I'm going to LA and you can't argue. And I was like,
God, is this just exposed Emma panel?
Well, and I said, you're like, and I said, I remember saying, I thought, why do you think I would argue? I think it's a great idea. I really did. So like right off, I mean, I was a little nervous for sure. Like I was like, how's it going to work out? But it just immediately made sense to me, because the thing that I'd seen at the time was like you had left school and you were editing down like by Stanford at the Phils, you know, but there was no, and this kind of like touches on another question, which was like you had left school and now you were like working, and you were, you know, your YouTube was successful at that point, but to leave the structure of school, and there's no other YouTubers up here in the Bay Area really. And I just felt like, you know what? And obviously enough time had gone by and I'd seen that struggle, and I had felt that struggle too when I quit my construction job to do art. Like all of a sudden I had to structure my own day. I had to, you know, I was yeah, there's just a lot. It's a big thing. It's kind of like real life all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and that can be really scary. So my feeling was if you were down in LA around other people that were, doing creative things, and it
Well,
could be
right.
anything, it could be music, it could be whatever, but that seems to be a place where everyone goes. And I was like, she needs to be down there.
And I'm
So
very grateful that you understood that. I mean, I think yeah, you, as you said, it was really tough for me because then it was like, yeah, I have the structure of school, even though school has its own struggles socially, it's like you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And then it's gone and you're like, whoa, I'm alone all the time. This is interesting. And then, you have to make your own schedule and you have to like, and then basically the only people I talk to is really you and my mom.
right.
And so then that was tough. And so it was, I think for me, I think the reason why I wasn't scared to move was because I was so excited about being, like being in a setting where there's so many people that do something similar to me, whether it's like YouTube or anything in the kind of space.
Right.
But yeah, so I was just more excited about making new friends and kind of feeling accepted in the community. And I feel like I've talked about all of this in my podcast before, so I feel like I'm just a broken record. Um, but yeah,
And you
let's
didn't feel like homesick or miss like having, once you were alone, living alone, you didn't miss having, because I mean, obviously when you were growing up, you'd had either your mom or myself around.
Oh, sorry.
That's a simple answer.
You,
Nope.
no,
But I think also too, I mean, I think the thing that
no, but
makes
you
it,
get it. We talked every day. You know what I
yeah,
mean? We're always talking. I actually think that my relationship with you and my mom has gotten so much better since I've moved because we have like, um, I actually think that there's less like anger and hostility because I mean, obviously, you're my parent. Like my mom is my parent. You know, you're gonna butt heads
right, right.
occasionally, and so I think that there's virtually no butting heads now because we're not in each other's space.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like holding back a burp. It's really hurting my chest. I will. Okay, we're good. But yeah, there's no reason for us to argue because we have our own spaces and we choose when we want to talk to one another. And if we need space, we get that space. And I think the key to a healthy relationship is having space from one another in any relationship in general. So I think me moving out has allowed my relationship with me and my whole entire family to be good, and better because it's like you appreciate the person more. Um, and also, I think I needed you and my mom more than I realized once I moved because then I was like, wow, I spent so many years of my life just taking my parents for granted. And I think the second I moved out and like, a year or so went by, I realized, whoa, like I need them, and you don't realize that until like these, you don't realize how important your parents are, especially at these young developing ages. You don't realize how important they are until you're on your own and you're like, God, I can't imagine having to deal with all this stuff on my own. So alas, no regrets. And
Well, the only thing I'd add to that too is I remember as far as like, from our end, the fear of like, you lived in a place that was, once there was a place and you were actually living there and there was a lot of other young people and everything, I was like, this isn't all that much different from like a college dorm in a way,
it's
you
kind
know?
of true.
It
Just
was.
a
And
little
so I
bit
thought, you know
maybe.
what?
Yeah.
It's like, I thought, this is no different from going away and having that experience of living away from home in a dorm. Um, Except it was like a year early, but you were ready. So to me, once you were there, I think both, your mom and I were like, you know what? She's fine. This is cool. She's good. This place is safe. She's got a lot of people she knows down here, whatever. So it was all, it seemed
Totally.
like once you were down there, it was like clearly the right thing to do. And obviously it was fun for me too, because like even though I went to college in San Diego, I would like avoid LA because I was kind of scared of it because it's
I
just,
do not blame you.
yeah, it's just like so overwhelming. I just thought like I don't know my way around. And then as I started coming down and hanging out. Usually it was like to help you move or to come down and put together furniture or whatever,
We're
right?
due for a little. I think once all this is over and you can come on down here, I got some stuff for you to do. We need to
Right,
do
right.
some paintings. This is boring, We'll get
Right, right. Now we got to get some paintings on the walls. I know. That's so. But it was kind of cool because then I got a feel for. I got to kind of experience, what LA was like, and I found places like, Malibu and Laguna and stuff. I think it's really cool down there now, and but yeah. So it was for me. The whole thing was exciting. I mean, obviously not without its challenges, which leads me to the next question.
right.
What are some of the things, and you may have already talked about this, what are some of the things that helped you through the emotional parts of being a YouTuber? I guess we kind of talked about that a little bit.
Well, we did, but I mean, I don't know how. I kind of forgot everything I said. I think I forgot everything I said over the past 40 or so minutes. I just don't remember anything I said. So I might be saying the same thing again. But I mean, obviously talking to you, talking to my mom, that was like just talking it through. I mean, also not only you guys, but also uh my team as well, just like kind of getting opinions from everybody, getting info from everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
just
and also, but like,
our point of view.
yeah, what were the hard, like, if you had to look back, like, as your channel was growing, like, what were some of the challenges, like, emotionally, or the things that were really a struggle for you as you started blowing up?
Oh, so what was, not what helped.
Well,
Got it.
yeah, well, what helped you? We talked a little bit about that, conversing and kind of keep trying to. Now, I always would try to help you keep things in perspective, but I'm wondering, what were some of the things that were challenging to you, during that experience, like you know, as you're blown up, like the first time you get recognized, or what?
Well,
What are some of those
yeah.
challenges?
Well,
Or feeling maybe like as the numbers went up, you had to maybe possibly change your
yeah,
content.
I know what you're saying. I think the biggest, I mean, there was just so many things. I mean, number one, it was like, the pressure that, because I think the pressure grows while you're just staying the same. You know what I mean? So like nothing about you is changing, but
Right.
but your presence on the internet is changing.
Right.
But at the same time, you're exactly the same. So it's a really mind-boggling experience trying to figure out like and stay, grounded in the sense of like, okay, you know, everybody's looking at me in a different way now, but yet I am the exact same. And I have to continue to look at myself in the exact same way. I can't, my vision of who I am can't change because of how the internet views me. That's not going to work out. So finding that balance, but also, when people were making assumptions about me or, and about my character and being like, okay, Emma, the same thing applies here. I'm still the same person with the same morals and the same heart and all of that, the same brain. And just because somebody is reading me wrong and whatever doesn't mean that that's the truth. And so that was really tough. And it also happened kind of fast. And I think that's what was really weird about it. It was like one day it was one thing, and then the next day it was another thing. And it was like, it felt like a 180 almost. I mean, you remember, it was just like, it was so fast because it was one video that did it in the beginning. And so I just, it was like I blinked and it happened. And then I had to readjust my whole life in the way that I lived my day-to-day life. So that was really weird. But
I remember having those conversations, like I was like, where, and it dawned on me, because I would think, how would I feel in this situation where all of a sudden now you've got this enormous audience? And I remember thinking, and we talked about this, and the idea that it still doesn't matter, because it's, the way it's a one-on-one communication. Like you're communicating, like it's not like a movie theater or like a stadium where you're filled, like it's filled with all these people. Like YouTube is an intimate thing. So my feeling was, it doesn't have to be any grander, just stay yourself. And I actually that's something I have to say that I've been really impressed with through this whole process. Like if I watch the videos of you, like, you know, as this thing is escalated, like, you know, the videos, like say with, you know, Paris Fashion Week or whatever, I'm really proud of the fact that you are still you. You don't change any, and that's great. That's really cool. So, but my feeling is like, it, you know, just, it doesn't matter how big your audience gets. It's still you talking into a camera and somebody watching on the other side. It's a one-on-one communication, and it doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be honest, is what I feel. It's
Totally.
like whatever you can bring at that moment, you know. And there's times where you can't, where you're just like, I don't got anything, you know. I'd rather somebody be honest than get up and do some song and dance or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I appreciate that you keep it honest, and that even when you're in situations that would maybe make somebody nervous, you seem to handle it really well. And I think that's really cool, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Um, do you have any other questions, or you want me to go like down the list? We're probably like touching on most of these. I don't know. How are we doing?
I'm literally looking. I actually think we've touched on everything. And
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, how do you overcome creative block?
well, I mean, at this point in the beginning, it was like, it would make me think that everything was over. You remember this? Oh my God. Ooh, I'll talk about this. Let me tell the story.
Okay.
Um, Literally what used to happen if I would run out of video ideas, it was an explosion. Um it was like catastrophic when I used to run out of video ideas. Like I would literally lose my mind. And it was like, and for no reason, I would freak out. I used to call you and be like, I can't do this anymore. I'm quitting. I'm done. Like I'm never picking up a camera again. My brain is fried. Like I would be crying to you, screaming on the phone, being like losing my mind. Now I'm like, if I run out of video ideas, I'm like, I'm just gonna play Fortnite for a few hours and something will come in there, you know, and or I'll call you. And like, I mean, sometimes it definitely can upset me where I'm like, you know, it definitely can make me sad. But then it's like I know that it'll pass because it always does. And so now having that knowledge of like, okay, well, these things always pass and you get through it. And then, you know, whatever. And even if you do have creative block for months, you can always turn it around. It's never too late to turn it around. So that was that. Um,
Yeah, no, you know what? It's so funny. I have so many other questions that are coming to mind that aren't on our list. But let me ask you this.
You're from the list.
I'm over it. Okay,
Let's go crazy. Let's go
yeah,
crazy.
I want to ask you, like, so I remember when you were starting your channel, like you were like, it's too late. I'm too late.
Oh,
like,
that's true.
and I was like, are you kidding me? It's like just getting started. I was like, don't even, but I'm wondering, like, what was your vision of what you wanted to achieve on YouTube? Did you have like a very clear idea of like, or did you just, what was your idea? Like, what was the idea that motivated you?
Here's the thing. So like, I was always like, well, okay, before I started the channel I have now,
Right.
I think you know, of course you're kind of, it's not like it's your goal, but you want to grow on YouTube. You want to like have that community, like you want to whatever. And that is the goal. That was the goal for me initially. It was like when I had my other channels, I was like, well, I want to be a YouTuber, and I don't know what that really means, but like I want to do that. And like
did you like have a number in mind? Like, I want to have 1 million subs. I want to do
no,
whatever.
It was not like that. It was more just like I wanted to have like any kind of community, right? But I felt like it was too late. I felt like there was no way to go on YouTube and create a community. I felt like that was like, even if it was just 1,000 people, right, or even just 100 people, I didn't feel like anybody would see any of my videos whatsoever. Like I was like, I will post this and like, how is somebody going to see it? I couldn't comprehend how somebody could see it. I didn't comprehend how there was an algorithm and how like, you know, whatever. So I just thought it was impossible for even one person to see my video. Does that make sense? So like, I was like, this is pointless. But then after I failed my driver's test and was desperately in need of a hobby, I was like, I actually at this point am not interested in I don't even need anybody to see it. Like I just need to create something. So that
I remember that. I remember you were like, I don't want anyone to know about my channel.
Right.
And I was like,
wanted it to be a secret. I was just posting for fun.
And I was like, well, don't worry. Like, you know, no one's going to see what you post for the first, whatever, couple months anyway. Right.
And then I went back to school and everybody did know about it. And I was like, oh,
Oh, but I
oh
do
no.
remember, I do remember though, you had like 1,000 subs at that time and you had figured out. So it was okay. It seemed like it was okay. Like you were like,
No,
all
it
right.
wasn't. It was still really uncomfortable, but that's beside the point. But thank you though. No, it was definitely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think the reason why the last time I did it, it ended up working out was because, and I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but I think I'm realizing it now. Um, like I think because I came at it in a sense where it was like, I don't care. I just want to be creating something. I don't even care about who's watching it, how many people are watching it, whatever the outcome. I just am doing this because I need an escape in a sense. I think that's why the last time I started my channel, it had a different outcome because I think I went into it with a completely different mindset. So
I
that is
wonder
that.
too, also like because it was a very, it was like you did it that whole summer before school started. And I
Mhm.
remember that whole summer, that was the summer we went to Maine too. You were like, you worked so hard at it. Like you were spending, I mean, you know, the amount of time on the edits and the shooting and thinking about it. So I remember it really occupied you for that whole summer. You were super focused on it and worked really hard. Um, Let me ask you another question. So after you did sort of blow up and think, and you were like recognized as, you know, maybe a successful YouTuber or at whatever point that was, how did like the success that maybe you imagined before, how did that compare to the reality? Do you know
That's
what
a
I mean?
really interesting question. And I hate, I honestly, it makes me quite uncomfortable to discuss like that for some reason, but we're growing and talking through things that are uncomfortable to talk about. That's an important part of growing. Um, to be honest, this is like really a dangerous spot to be in because it's like I don't want to sound ungrateful and I don't want to sound like, you know, it isn't like the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me because it has changed the entire course of my life. It's, given me the people that I have in my life. It's given me all of you guys that, the community that I have that I didn't even ever expect. And like all of that is the most amazing thing that could have ever happened. But when it comes to like, the elements that are a little bit more like, like
Let me say something.
oh wait,
Okay.
come on, come
No,
on.
I just want to say
I
something.
have it. I have it.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
coming.
Go.
Like the like quote unquote fame thing, like
Mhm.
that word. Like that is something that I don't think I really ever expected me to experience, and like I still don't really I mean, I don't know, but it is not what I expected. It is everything but that. I thought that it was, so much more glamorous, and that like, I just thought that you surpassed human problems or something when that happens. And that is just far from the truth. And if anything, I think it's parts of it have caused me problems that I would have never faced otherwise. And so, although it's been the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me, it's also, put me in these situations that I would have never dealt with otherwise that have been really, really, really difficult for me. Obviously, I've had a great support system to help me through it, but it's been tough, and it's something I, never expected to deal with. So there's just it wasn't like I was young and was like, God, I want to, be in the public eye in a way. I don't really feel like I ever thought like that.
Let me
So
say one thing, and then let me say,
go
I know
ahead.
we got to get fan questions, but I want to address one thing that I think is important. That what I noticed from my perspective is, I think with everything, even this happened with me before I was successful as an artist, like or doing it as a living. You have this sort of idea of what it is, but it's kind of an imaginary idea, and then you go through a phase where it actually becomes a reality, and then you almost feel like, okay, it's not what I thought, and now I'm just left with the work. But
Yes.
then you work through that period And then you realize, you know what? You start seeing it in a more realistic way, and you have a real true appreciation. Like, I
Totally.
love what I'm doing now as a painter, and I'm so happy. But I have to say that because when I first got successful at it, it was almost like it wasn't what I had been imagining or dreaming, and it doesn't solve your problems necessarily, right? So
Yeah,
I don't know if you
totally.
relate to that. I just wanted to put that out
That's
there
a
because, like,
great point.
yeah.
I
And I don't
totally
want to take
agree.
up too much time. I know do you have questions that you wanted to get to?
Well, we have some fan questions that we can answer. That's what they're called on this list.
Okay.
That you guys sent into VidCon, and then and yeah, and I'll pull some of these. I haven't even looked at them yet, so this is kind of surprising. It'll be a fun surprise. So, uh, let's see. First question is, who inspired me to make my coffee company? Um, I mean, to be honest, this kind of a I think I kind of inspired myself to do that because I just love it so much. But I also think that all the experiences that, me and you had with coffee shops in San Francisco growing up, that was super important. I mean, even when we would go to Maine and we would get like go every morning and go get coffee, like those memories and like my favorite places, getting coffee with you, talking about fun stuff, laughing, crying, the 9 yard, all the 9 yards,
Yards.
whole 9 yards.
What
Uh,
is so funny too, this is a little fun fact you might not have known. I don't know if you remember, like, I didn't drink a lot of coffee growing up. I think that
I
I
made you drink
loved
coffee.
well, I loved coffee shops and going that ritual of going to a coffee shop. And like when we were on vacation, that was kind of a fun thing for you and I to do. Also, too, like all of our city trips up to San Francisco, like that was one of the fun things going to cafes and because San Francisco's got so many interesting places and good coffee and stuff. So yeah, that kind of got me into it. But I remember, did you start drinking coffee in high school because friends drank it? I would imagine
I
like Starbucks and Pete's and stuff changed the accessibility of coffee to young people, maybe.
Well, in middle school, we would go, to Starbucks sometimes after school. We'd walk down there. And I went through different phases. Like I used to get, sometimes I'd get, sometimes I'd get like a coffee frappuccino. Sometimes I'd get the passion tea. Like it just all depended on the day, on the vibe, on the weather, the whole thing. And so that was kind of when that started. But then I don't really know. I think my friends and I, we were all, even in middle school, like eighth grade, we were like, we would go and get coffee in the downtown area. And then once I got to high school, I needed the caffeine to get good grades. So then it became slightly a less healthy situation. And it wasn't just Wednesday fun time, and it became Emma needs caffeine time. So that was that. But moving on, we have 2 more minutes. Let's talk about one more thing.
Wow, time goes fast. We're not
Time
used to
flies.
1 hour, and 1 hour conversation is not quite long enough.
I know. So actually, there is going to be a discussion on the VidCon server. If you guys want to join that, I'm talking to not you, Dad, but the viewers. If you guys want to join that, that is available to you guys. But we'll answer one more question. The last question we're going to answer is about me. Actually, no, we'll make this one about us. And
Okay.
it's, what painting from your dad's collection is your favorite? I really like this one that he painted that I bought from him. That I forced him to let me buy it from him. And it's of like a breakfast scene, and it's like a tablecloth, and then it has all these, different things on the table because I'm obsessed with breakfast, brunch, the whole thing.
And it's so
Um,
funny that now you eat eggs like that.
uh, what?
Oh, and now you actually eat eggs that way. You just need the Bialetti and then you're all good.
I know. So like literally, it's like my breakfast dream come true. But
Well, this is one, I'll say this painting behind that I moved in for this
that's of
very,
me.
I know, this is one of my, I'll never part with it. This is one of my all-time favorite paintings that I've ever done. It's like,
I love it.
yeah, so so there you go. Is that how
Thanks
we
for
end
painting
it?
me, King.
What?
I said thanks for painting me, King.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
God, we're out of time. We did it. A whole hour. We did it. We had the best time. I hope that you guys enjoyed hanging out with us. Like this is literally our like daily phone call, just a little bit different, a little bit
It's only
VidCon
about
edition.
2 hours shorter.
Yeah, literally. No, but then like the thing is, like we'll talk for 3 hours and then we hang up and then we talk again for another 6.5. So uh thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate you all and all your support. And yeah, Dad, any last words?
No, just yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks for hanging out.
Peace and love, y'all. And there's the convo on the VidCon Discord server. If you guys want to keep talking and discuss whatever y'all want to discuss. Yeah, peace and love. I'm out. Actually, I'll let Declan say goodbye to you guys. He's really hurting me right now, but there you go. Now that you got a little cat. Okay, my just got spotlighted. I don't know what that means, but Declan says goodbye. Love you all. Peace out.